Hello everyone. Welcome to Archana. I'm your constitution. Today we are going to talk about the second part of fundamental rights. Here we will start off, the fundamental rights right from Article 12. In the first video, we have started off. We discussed about the introduction to fundamental rights. We understood what do you mean by fundamental rights and also characteristics of fundamental rights. Today we are going to start right off from Article 12, 13 and 14. We'll be discussing only three articles, that is Article 12 and 13. Right? So let's start the lesson. So this is my profile. You can just go to it later. I'll quick start off the course and put the heading Article 12. So as I mentioned, the real fundamental rights, those starts from real fundamental rights starts from Article 14, but there is a need for us to discuss about even Article 12 and 13 also. So we will start with Article 12. What is Article 12? In Article 12, it is mentioned the definition of state. Okay. If you remember, even under Article 1, we had definition of state, or when I say definition of state, understood definition of India. Likewise, in Article 12, we have the definition of state being mentioned. According to Article 12, what do you mean by state? What do you mean by state? When I say state, it includes government of India, that is government, government. It includes parliament, parliament includes state government, some state legislature, and it also includes the judiciary, state judiciary, as well as judiciary, that is Supreme Court. Also, even includes local authority. They say local authorities includes municipalities have panchayats, have district courts, and improvement boards and trust. All this will be covered as no state. State. Not just the other definitions we have with regard to the state are even the statutory and non-statutory bodies are also covered under state. Okay. Now, an important note over here. Very, very important. Star mark. A private organization, which works on behalf of government, also covered under Article 12. Any state or any private organization which is actually working on behalf of the government, or which is doing the activities of the government, is also covered as is also covered under the definition of state. It is not being stated by me. It is not my definition. Supreme Court has interpreted this. Court has given that any private organization which is on behalf of the government is also covered under Article 12. Right. Now here, one more important note. In BCCI versus Netaji Club case, right? Versus Netaji Club case, this particular Supreme Court stated, BCCI as not a state. Understand? Don't get confused. If you are writing some LLB exams for Delhi University or any other Banaras Hindu University, If you are preparing for 3-year LLB, or if you are preparing for law optional or any other law examination or constitutional law, this is a very popular question. If there were many questions. Many times they ask this question, especially the BCCI question, whether it is case BCCI state. It was not declared as state. There was a question. Okay. So in BCCI versus Netaji Cricket Club case, court stated that BCCI as not a state, not covered under, though it does the selection, control, it looks after the players, the pay, everything. Everything is done by BCCI. Still, it is not covered under the definition of state. However, you can amend. Okay, you can amend the BCCI, or you can change the characteristics, right? By filing a writ. By filing what? A writ petition. By filing a writ. High Court, the article, can I repeat? Though BCCI is not, can change it by filing a article. So what are all covered under definition under state according to Article 12 is any central government, state government, or it can be any state legislature, or it can be any authority that are working on behalf of the government or any private organization. Quite a natural common sense that people understand that all these private or these public organizations are defined as a state only. No doubt at all. But private organization was also considered as part of state under, well, that private organization working on behalf of the government, or if it is representing the government. Okay. So this is what also you have to understand. So this is the definition of Article 12. Very easy. You have to remember only these points. Very important to remember points you have to emphasize. Right now, the next article, Article 3. The heading Article 3, Article 13. Very, 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 very important star mark. Just can't deny fundamental rights. For every article, I will say important, but you have to understand that all the fundamental rights are very. Article 13. Star mark. Star. Any law, no, violative, fundamental can be declared as void, null. I repeat, Article 13. Any law violative of fundamental rights can be declared void and null. Means, let's suppose if government is preparing a law, government is preparing a law, and if that law is if that particular law is violating your fundamental rights, or taking away your fundamental rights, such kind of laws can be questioned or challenged in court or high court. Can I repeat? Such laws which are actually taking away your fundamental rights can be challenged in the court, and the court is having the power to cancel such kind of laws. Again, I repeat, according to Article 3, any law which is prepared by the government, or any act, can be an act, a ordinance. I'll explain what I mean by law. Any law which is prepared, and if such kind of law is taking away your fundamental rights, means it's stopping your fundamental rights, is not allowing your fundamental rights to be executed, such kind of laws can be challenged in the courts or in the judiciary, whether it can be High Court or Supreme Court, and the judiciary is having the power to cancel them, to make sure those laws are not functional, or to cancel such kind of laws under Article 13. So Article 13 indirectly, please understand, indirectly it implies judicial review. Please remember this. It is nowhere defined. Please understand that judicial review is nowhere defined in the Constitution. Judicial review is nowhere defined in the Constitution, but we are interpreting judicial review, means we are implicitly understanding that this statement is nothing but called as a judicial review. So the judiciary, the Indian judiciary, is drawing the power to review any law that is actually violating the fundamental rights under Article 13. Now the question is, this power, this power of the courts to review or view any laws is given to both Supreme Court and High Court under Article 32 and Article 26. According to Article 32, you can challenge the law, in Supreme Court, and according to Article 226, you can challenge the law in High Court. Right? Now, what do you mean by law? In Article 13, Clause 3, law means law is defined as an ordinance, can be an ordinance, or order, bylaw, rules, regulations, or it can be notifications, or it can be customs. And also I would like to mention over here that law means can be an ordinary law also, can be an ordinary law. Okay, so if any such laws are being mentioned, if any such laws are actually hurting your fundamental rights, or you're blocking your fundamental rights, such kind of laws can be, you can challenge them in the court, go to the court and say to the court that this particular law is taking away fundamental rights. Supreme Court or the High Court will check whether really this law is taking away your fundamental rights or not, and it will declare that as not void and null, means that it is not available as mentioned under Article 13. Very powerful article in the whole Constitution. There is no point of having fundamental rights. Please understand, there is no point of having fundamental rights if you don't have Article 13. It is a main ingredient, of the fundamental rights which we are enjoying today. Without Article 13, there is no use of having fundamental rights, because rules and regulations will be written easy, but you need someone to support you when such rules and regulations are not being implemented. Fundamental rights are given by the government, but you need someone to look after whether these fundamental rights are getting implemented or not. So who is going to do that is the judiciary in India. We know that, and judiciary is drawing that power check, to inspect, to take care, to monitor, to protect your fundamental rights according to Article 13. So very, 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 very importantly, trust me, it's a key for the whole fundamental rights. It's like the firewall for the whole fundamental rights, protecting your fundamental rights. Now, again, Article 13, Clause 4. Please understand, it is mentioned that Article 13 not applicable to amendments. Not applicable to. So according to Article 13, Clause 4, Article 13 is not applicable to amendments. That is, constitutional amendment acts cannot be challenged as they are not law, as constitutional amendments are not law. Okay, so according to Article 13, Clause 3, please remember, constitutional amendment acts are not derived as a means of law according to Article 13(4). However, had a case, we had a case called as Case Vananda Bharati case, the most prominent case, call it as KBC case, Case Vananda Bharati case, 1973. Even this is a star mark case, like the Constitution will be revolving around this case so much. KBC case 1973. In this particular case, Supreme Court stated that constitutional amendment acts also can be challenged. Constitutional amendment acts also can be challenged, and also, can be challenged. Understand, in this particular case, that constitutional amendment acts can be challenged if it is violating the fundamental rights, is the main part of this, okay, and can declare such constitutional amendment acts as also void, or you can challenge such constitutional amendment acts and has the power to declare as void under. Again, I say, actually, Article 13 does not include Constitutional Amendment Acts as law, and so cannot challenge the Constitutional Amendment Acts in court. Say that, see, this Constitutional Amendment Act is violating my fundamental rights. Please, the court, please protect my fundamental rights. Not question the court in judiciary. But in case one of the Bharati case, the same court has understood the smartness of the parliament and stated that no, 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 constitutional amendment acts are also part of law. So such law also can be such kind of constitutional amendment acts if they are violating the fundamental rights. You can question those constitutional amendment acts also in the court goal case one in the Bharati case as declared. So according to Article 13, any law which violates fundamental rights as of now today, it is not just only ordinance, order, bylaw, rules, regulations, etc. Article 13 law means the Constitutional Amendment Act as well. So even if Amendment Act is violating your fundamental rights, you can go to the judiciary, you can question and you can make sure that is not functioning. You can protect your fundamental rights from the biased laws. This is what is being by Supreme Court, and this is what you have to understand the meaning of Article. Again, I repeat, please make a note that there is no mention in the Constitution, nowhere in the Constitution, like how Article 12 defined what is a state. There is no mention about judicial review in the Constitution. Nowhere in the Constitution article judicial review is being defined. But we are understanding that Article 13 judicial review. In I say there is nowhere defined or there is nowhere in the Constitution review is mind, but we are deriving the meaning that the judicial review is being the meaning of judicial review is taken or implicitly understood in Article 13. What you have to understand. So, Article 13, I hope you understood. Very easy, very beautiful article. I love this particular article because you will have someone to review, to check what is being done by the government. So the parliament, you have to understand that Article 13 is a I would say I would also call this in way that Article 13 nothing but a check and balance between the parliament and it is not allowing Article 13 is not allowing the parliament to do whatever it wants. Parliament is controlled or being holded by the judiciary through Article 13. See, we know in India, understand we do have absolute have we have all the have the don't have separation of powers. Understand in India we don't have doctrine of separation of powers. It's actually recommended, but it is there UK, but in India we don't have this doctrine of powers. What we have in India is not a doctrine of powers. Have call it the name as checks and balances. Okay, we need someone to check each other. Okay, me and my friend, me and my officer. I will make sure my officer is working properly. My officer also that I'm working. Nothing but checks and balances. You don't have my officer is separate, I'm separate, and I have this checks and balances. And the article perfect example for concept of checks and balances. Highlighted by the right. I hope you understood. Now let's go for Article 14. Article 14. Article quality law, equal protection of okay. The real article starts from Article right to equality. That the first one, Article 4, equality before law and equality before law is from United Kingdom. Equal protection of law is the main objective of Article promote promote political, economical, and social. Now we have to understand Article 4. Have to divide these. Have to understand them separately. So let's know what do you mean equality before heading equality. Now, as I told you, this concept is borrowed from a dicey concept. What do you mean equality before? Equality before law or equality of law? All are treated can be or it can be or can be all will be however absurd regarding this article. What are those exceptions? Right? Understand. Equality before law means sure everybody is treated equal before. Example, Manmohan Singh, our Prime Minister. He was when he was in position of Prime Minister, he was not called. There are inquiries or with regard to the cases, the coal allegation, stock allegation, not called for investigation by any authority. Once he became the ex-prime minister, he was called by CBI with regard to the or the misappropriate or inappropriate happened that to the so as long as prime minister he was not called off. But once he is out of that position, he was made equivalent to you and me and called to CBI. So we'll see. What do you mean by this equality? Okay. In Amitabh versus of India, that quality of India lies absent Amitabh versus Union of India. Equality means not in favor of any, not having privilege called as equality. What you have is not having privilege called as have another case. Okay, and please here I want to make sure one thing. There is no absolute equality, absolute, absolute. Have to understand and equality guarantee Similarity in identity, not identical, but it is not identical. Or that they will not be absolute 100%. You cannot ensure. You have to understand. Don't get done by no absolute, 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 absolute. Not have anything. The ideals not for have it is not. Also, you have to understand quality, permits, rational, and discriminating. Editing. When I say equality, means show that rationality. For not talking that equality is absolute, have discrimination, but that discrimination in Ashutosh Gupta, particular at way to classify scientific or logical. What do you mean? What do you mean classification? Classification. Classification. For example, according to the Income Tax Act of India, based on your income group will be charged, right? For example, those people are with 5 lakhs to 10 lakhs, they need 10% tax. Now it can be 5 lakhs 20,000, it can be 5 lakh 1, or it can be 9 lakhs 90,000. I have to pay 10% tax. Likewise, the government will classify it. When they make any law, they want to help anyone or support it. They want to make sure they go for positive. Now, how they are discriminating, how they are dividing those for the law can need not be logically or scientifically correct. Government can go its way in deciding who not be will be getting the positive discrimination and who will not be getting the positive, right? And next, uh, PMA Pi found Karnataka state 2002 particular state for stated that particular conferment of special benefit or protection of rights particular group called as they are trying to extra for any particular, suppose take women. Women will then extra protection done based on and it is done on a reasonable cost. Okay, if it is done on a reasonable cost, then not say that Article 4. Even if that kind of special are given, will call still equality is helpful. Don't get confused. You are giving anything specific, you are giving or privilege particular, and if such discrimination is a and if such special protection seems to be discrimination, that kind of positive discrimination will be called as equal under article highlighted in MA 5 Foundation Karnataka. Okay, next. Very, very important. Next, because we will come across the citizen in daily life. Come across the citizen in Satinder Sarma State Fall right to again not be not be private right to equality is available but cannot be unaided private have right to have under article have right policies cultural and guaranteed article are more than article 4. And you cannot expect equality in unaided private men. But when it comes to government mandatory all the people under government school very very important piece. Also very however however we told that these are the general principles, but we do have some exceptions. Exceptions have certain we have certain are saying all are equal, but there are some or exceptions. What is it? President or governor, when they are performing, they are using powers or perform or governor when cannot be not be conferred whatever the decision by the or by not be challenged the governor. What basis? What basis challenge? While performing his office duties or perform actions the office or with regard to the office, such kind of action not be open for or you cannot and no criminal process or contempt Well, they are not now remember understand these exceptions, but these not not protect the not from the English are different and exceptions or these special cannot be applied when an impeachable procedure of precedent. By removing not say that not, not stop those not be used as precedent. Also, we have Article 4 but equal have certain different sovereigns or ambassadors. Exceptions are given to foreign sovereigns and ambassadors of other. One part of article have to article the other part of article law. Right? What do you mean? Ensuring among equal people, law should be equal, law should be equal, and equally law should be post and with now with regard to that law, so that it is available for all the time. The government also all the time. Understand? The law is for the among equal or the amount equal law should be followed and it should be equally or administered. Now to ensure this equal protection of this government, it means affirmative action. Question is how the government is going to follow affirmative or it is while being by providing facility and how government is making and else hurried by panchayat size and right affirmative action providing equal power and Rakesh Kumar sure equality is sometimes equal. There are some unequal and people one of them is section or this opportunity that he will the other guy is actually also called as equal. We are giving SC reservation not called as discrimination, not say that instead you should that it is a positive discrimination. Make sure all are treated equally under Article 4. Okay. Without giving any reservation, making wrong people stand, unequal people stand in the competition. So you have to so the unequal guy is treated equally with the other guys and given an opportunity. Article don't get next step. Anwar Ali equal treat so we will make sure that equality is being ensured by the government and being the நல்ல particular that law would not be required, law would not be law will not be carried advantage. Kamreddy mentioned that whatever law is the people, and if that discrimination or advantage of not call it as still you will call it as equal. Example is I want to mention also important. Markup, markup, 1000 that procedure which comes party means They're trying to let's suppose. Now that procedure, though it's but it is positively not stopping. If the government is trying to set up such kind of procedure, there is a such kind of procedure coming in of that particular that hurdle or that block or that problem will be called as violation. When for essay development, government of India development is kind of system empowerment is other, and that procedure or that law is coming in between development of these sections. Such things called as what? Violative of Article 4 under Dwarka Procedure. Anything anything which comes as a hurdle for the development of or any other such kind of process will be called as discrimination and we will violation of Article 14. Next, next, I have to mention. So, Article 14 prohibits class legislation. Class legislation. Okay, not classification for purpose of legislation. Making legislation for a particular class is not allowed. But make a law, please. Making law for a particular legislation for a particular class is not allowed, not considered as policy. But for the implementation of law, for the implementation of law, you are trying to classify people, then it is accepted. Okay. For example, cannot make, let us take income tax only. Tax Act. Income Tax Act should not do or should not prepare laws for women, please. But but Income Tax Act can categorize the people like male, female. The income tax is classifying the people and it is making law, then it will be taken, then it will be verified. But making a separate legislation for a class is not tolerable. But creating a classification for the implementation of a system accepted. So it's a very thoughty process. You have to understand that classification, the government when it tries to classify people for the implementation of law, please understand it is not at all violative of Article 14. It's completely implementing Article 14. But government making a legislation for a specific class or for a specific group of people is not Article 14. So this kind of not classification and all, we will find it out. Very popular one is Tax Act only. Okay, different professions, you have different income groups. Let's suppose if you take direct tax, whatever your income is, that doesn't matter. If it is your income, you have to pay this. Now in that again, for women who are earning between 5 lakhs, there will be an exemption. So they'll be given less tax. They have to pay less tax. So for the better implementation of law, if government is classifying the people, there is nothing wrong. But government cannot make law for specific class. This is what you have to understand in this particular case. Now, what do you mean by this this classification? What do you mean by this classification? Question is, what do you mean by this classification? Right? So let's see this classification. Classification. Now, classification of people can be geographical, as mentioned. MA 5 Foundation versus Karnataka case, And the classification can be based on, can be based according to difference of time, difference of time. It is also according to TMA Foundation versus Karnataka case. You can discriminate people based on the geography, their location. You can classify people according to difference of time, and also you can classify people based on the nature of trade or occupation. Okay, you can also classify people based on the nature and trade of occupation, as mentioned in Hati Singh versus Union of India case 19. Okay. So when we are saying that key classification will be there, this classification can be done based on three factors. Either it can be geographical classification, then classification based on geography, or classification based according to the distance of time, which is highlighted in TPA Pi Foundation Karnataka case. And also you can classify people based on the nature of the trade or occupation mentioned under Hati Singh versus Union of India in 1960. Okay. Means, see, what we are trying to do is, we are trying to say that Article 14, equal protection of law, means sometimes it doesn't seem to be equal protection, but it is not wrong when you are trying to create a law which enables the low sections to come up and make them equal with the other people. It is not called as any. So according to Article 14, you are going for positive discrimination, if you are going for discrimination, and that discrimination, if it seems to be negative to you, but still it is positive, because you are trying to make the unequals equal with the equals and making them to be called as a group of people, and you are making them to be you are making sure that Article 14, you are making sure that all are equal before law. So to make all are equal before law, you have to lift the unequals, make them with the equal, and make sure that Article 14 is available to both of them. Now, whatever you are using the strength or the law to discriminate this unequals, to lift them up, is nothing wrong, and you cannot call it as violative of Article 14. This is what you have to understand. These are different case studies. Ultimately, you have to understand that the initiatives taken by the government to uplift the unequal sections of the society, even if such upliftment or legislations or policies or any ordinances or any such law is a discriminative, it is not discriminative because it is making sure Article 14 is being implemented. Right? And the next one. According to in Lachmandas versus Bombay State 1952, in this particular case, equal protection means equal protection means equal protection providing equal protection against substantive and procedural laws. Okay. Now here I want to give an explain. For example, there is a bill called as Special Courts Bill 1978. In this particular case, Supreme Court states that whatever the special courts are there, whatever the special are there for trail of offences, trail of offences committed during emergency, committed during emergency, not against Article 14. Means whatever the offences or the mistakes that were happened during emergency, uh, to trial those cases or to trial those offences and give punishment to such offences, special courts are being set up. Now, such kind of special courts which are being set up under Special Courts Bill 1998 cannot be called as discrimination, is not a violative of Article 14. It is still part of Article 14. However, The offences which are committed before the emergency cannot be trailed in this. So please understand, these particular courts are meant only to trial the offences which are being committed during emergency and not before the emergency. This is what a Supreme Court has stated in Court Bill 1978. Okay. Now, in Child, that is Dressland versus Chandigarh U. It is the duty of state here, here, fears of citizens, here the fears of citizens regarding this. It is the responsibility of the government to diminish or to clear whatever the fears citizens are having regarding this. The responsibility of the government only. And in Ashok Kumar the versus 1997 and PGI Medical Education versus KL Narasimhan 1997. In these two cases, it is being mentioned that protective discrimination, protective disc in favor of SC or ST, part of constitutional aim provide social and economic justice. In this particular two cases, highlighted that whatever the protective discrimination measures are being taken by the government with regard to the development of SC, especially to ensure social and economic justice, are not called as violative of Article 14. Such kind of protective are still being called as equal protection of law in equal conditions according to Article 14. So again, I repeat, whatever the positive discrimination decisions are being taken by the government to uplift the weaker sections of society, though it is a discrimination, it is a positive discrimination, and you cannot say it as violative of Article 14. Though it is a positive discrimination or a negative discrimination, still it will be called as equality before law, or you will tell that it is ensuring equality before law. Now here, I want to close this Article 14 by giving you an example that you will understand what do you mean by equal protection of law in equal conditions. Equal protection of law in equal conditions. I want to give an example that you will understand. Now let's suppose there is a person X. The person now X death is caused to, and for Y also, Y is also under death has death, Y has undergone death. Now X has undergone death because there is a lady called as who killed X, killed, killed X as part of self-defense. As part of, so according to Indian Penal Code, a woman called as A killed X, killed, I'm telling you, it's A, the reason for the death caused to X. But why she has caused death to X? Because she tried to protect herself from the attacks of X, which is called as right self-defense under Article 6 of IPC. Now there is Y. Now Y is B. Y has also undergone death because of B. Boy, the boy. Now B, the reason for Y's death, but what B is murder of Y. Murder of Y is according to section not 2 or 3 and 3 of IPC. Now X has undergone death, Y also undergone death. Can you make these conditions as equal? You really think conditions are equal? No, these conditions are not equal because though X has dead and Y is dead, the reason for X death is different for the reason Y death. Y's death means the reason B killed Y is different and the reason for A killed X is completely different. So you cannot make them equal. So this is not equal protection of law in equal conditions. It is unequal conditions. This will not talk about Article 14 here. Article 14 is violated. Now let's assume, I'll give you the same example. Now there is a person called as R. Now R has gone for death. Is dead. Uh, Gone. Dead. Now R by, let's suppose R is being by Q. Now Q, the boy, the cute boy. Now this cute boy killed R because R actually tried to kill. So Q killed R. So what Q did over there? Tried to protect himself from R. And as part of that, Q killed R. Here, what is it? Self defense. Self defense. And the question is, can you make these conditions? Don't think about the gender over here. Think only about the student. Here also death due to self defense, right to self. Here also R's death is right to self of Q. Well, now in these two conditions, these are A, X, and Q are conditions. You have to make sure that law is equally, and whatever the or announcement put also should be not equal absolute equality, but it should be very similar, not be identical. Let's suppose in this particular case, if it is 1 year, or let's suppose here also it should be, but here and here it cannot be 6. Life frame here not be like this. Condition of A, X, and Q R is nothing called as equal of law and equal, because equal condition there is right to self defense. Here also right. Here it is not an equal order of X or of Y. Will not equate right to self defense to murder. Okay? What is called as what I would the Article 12, 13. I'm not sure about right. So many have to understand like particular the meaning that you have to understand. That is the reason ultimately you have to understand of their equal to other people and also people for protection of law in equal conditions. That's all for today. In the next class, we will be discussing about Article and 17. I'll catch you next video. If you have any doubts, please ask. Write down a feedback. Please share the feedback. We will be happy knowing about it. Right? Thank you so much. Have a nice day, and please also I have taken information. Thank you. Jai Hind.